Criana Fantasy is a game set in the Royal Criana Academy. It is a very popular dating action RPG where the route changes depending on the player's actions. Players can either enjoy the intense battle system while attending the academy or focus on dating the academy's heroines. The game offers a great deal of freedom and many different ending routes. However, there is one character who always stands in the player's way without fail. That character is Alba Eretia, the son of a duke. He is a strong, arrogant, self-indulgent womanizer with a fierce temper. He is considered the ultimate villain, destined to become the enemy of the game's protagonist. Meanwhile, in the middle of a mountain, a young man steps out of a cabin with a hoe in hand, preparing to farm. This person is none other than Alba Eretia, the delinquent son of the duke, who now lives alone in the mountains. The place is peaceful, filled with the sound of birds chirping, rivers flowing, and animals calling. Alba begins his day by plowing the fields, and while doing so, he recalls something that reveals a big secret. It turns out he is not truly Alba, but someone else who reincarnated into this character's body 3 years ago. 3 years earlier at Duke Eretia's mansion, the protagonist awakens in Alba's body after reincarnation. At that time, he barely recognizes his surroundings or even his reflection in the mirror. Yet fragments of memory slowly return and he recalls a certain game. It is a youth fantasy game set in the Criana Royal Academy, where one particular villain always opposes the protagonist, and that villain is Alba. In one route, Alba steals a heroine from the protagonist as a rival. In another, he succumbs to corruption and becomes the destroyer of the academy. Regardless of the chosen route, Alba is destined to be the ultimate villain. To make matters worse, the protagonist's memory of the game is incomplete, as he never played through every route. Still, he remembers Alba clearly because the character appeared countless times and was always annoyingly persistent. Now, faced with Alba's reflection staring back at him, he wonders in shock if he has truly been reincarnated as Alba. Yet even more overwhelming than his confusion is the single thought that now dominates his mind: that Alba is guaranteed to die. His death will occur either in a duel with the protagonist over a heroine or at the hands of the protagonist as punishment for his evil deeds. No matter the route, no matter the choices, Alba's death flag cannot be avoided. However, he refuses to accept this fate or wait helplessly for his own end without understanding why he was reincarnated in the first place. Although he cannot imagine a way to change destiny, he resolves to do the only logical thing he can think of at this moment: escape from his fate entirely. When his room is discovered empty and all his valuables missing, the maids immediately inform the Duke, who, enraged, yells Alba's name. Yet Alba remains certain that running away is the only way to avoid his destined end. By selling the valuables he took with him, he believes he can sustain himself and live quietly in the countryside, far from the path of doom that once awaited him. Back in the present, it has been 3 years since that day. After running away, the first thing he did was dye and cut his hair. Then he bought a small cottage in the mountains. Though it is inconvenient compared to his past life, he lives a leisurely life farming on sunny days and reading on rainy ones. More importantly, he is alive. Just then, someone comes out of the house apologizing to him for oversleeping. At that moment, Alba recalls that the goddess of destiny in this world is not so kind as to let him go. He greets the girl with a good morning, addressing her as Celia, and she giggles as she returns the greeting. This girl is Celia Margaret, one of the potential love interests in the game. She informs him that he has received a letter to which he assumes it concerns his debt and tells her to simply eat it. She replies that she is not a goat, which makes Alba laugh. He pats her head while apologizing, and this makes her very happy. He knows that according to his plan, he should not become involved with her, as she is one of the people who could lead him to his death flag. Celia is a saintess who, by the grace of the goddess, is a rare and famous person who excels in healing magic and is able to predict disasters. One might wonder why and how the saintess is involved with him. The answer lies half a year ago, when he was living alone and still adjusting to this world. Since this is the same world as the game, he is already familiar with its vegetables, allowing him to begin farming without difficulty, something for which he is very grateful. Setting that aside, he suspects Alba's family has not started searching for him yet, which is fortunate since he is deeply worried about that. But he didn't expect the people in town to treat him as if he were already dead. Since his family does not deny those rumors, Alba suspects that they hated him quite a bit as well. He decides not to dwell on it too much and stretches as he finishes harvesting. Just then, he hears a noise coming from afar and wonders if it was a scream. It turns out to be so, as a carriage is attacked, inside of which is the Saintess. As one of the guards tells the Saintess to run away, he is swiftly eliminated. Not only him, but all the others are also killed, leaving only the Saintess. As she is cornered and an assassin points a dagger at her, she trembles in fear, insisting that they cannot do this. One of the assassins then suddenly closes the distance and attacks her. But before the assassin could harm her, something shrouded in lightning appeared between them and blasted the attacker away. This shocks the Saintess and the other assassin as it all happens so quickly. The lightning turns out to be Alba, who states that although he does not know what is going on, they should not make girls cry. As he turns to face the Saintess, he is taken aback as her face seems familiar. Trying to recall where he has seen her, he quickly remembers that she is one of the heroines. He is deeply distraught as she is one of the main characters connected to his death flag. Despite isolating himself deep in the mountains to avoid meeting any of the main characters, it ended up happening. From this incident, he believes the goddess of destiny will not overlook Alba escaping his fate, which he considers an unwelcome favor. Just as he contemplates his next course of action, assassins leap behind him to attack. Terrified, the Saintess screams out, telling Alba to run. At that moment, he calls upon lightning to easily brush them aside, declaring that since contact has already been made, it cannot be helped. The Saintess is deeply shocked as she witnesses Alba defeat all the assassins in a single blue flash. Ever since he isolated himself in the mountains, he trained relentlessly to understand and wield the power of this world's magic, and this is how he is able to eliminate the assassins with ease. Although he knows it is a game world, he cannot help but feel guilty about killing them. Realizing that he might one day end up like them, he resolves to escape his destiny. He becomes determined that no matter what kind of death awaits him, he will resist it with all his strength. After a brief pause, he turns to the Saintess and asks if she is all right. Although he asked, he knows she is not, as all of her guards have been killed. He then apologizes for failing to save her companions. In response, she falls to her knees and bursts into tears, confessing that she cannot endure this any longer. She explains that she understands her duty as the Saintess requires her to travel across the land on pilgrimage, but someone is always targeting her. Alba realizes from her reaction that today's event is the one that broke the camel's back. She continues, explaining that the Saintess holds the second most powerful position in the Church of the Goddess after the Pope, and because of this, she is constantly attacked by those who wish either to steal her power or to remove her as an obstacle to their ambitions. Every time innocent people are sacrificed to protect her, something she can no longer bear to witness. Alba reflects that if he were to see this scene play out on a game screen, he would think of it only as her backstory, but seeing this young girl crying before him leaves him no choice. This is reality, and these tears are not pixels on a screen. With streams of tears running down her face, the Saintess expresses her wish to no longer be afraid and to simply live a normal life. After a short pause, Alba gently pets her head and crouches down. Then, without hesitation and with a warm smile, asks if she would like to come to his house. Hearing this, the girl freezes and looks at him in surprise, and he quickly realizes that anyone would be shocked to hear such an invitation spoken so suddenly. Yet he said it faster than he could think, as he is not speaking to a mere game character but to a human being just like himself. He then tells her that although he does not fully understand her situation, he can see how hard she has been working, and he believes it is only right for her to rest, since being able to rest enough to smile is far more important than working hard only to cry. Therefore, if her destiny is to bring her to tears, he tells her that she should simply run away. Alba knows that this girl wishes to rebel against her destiny just like him. He reaches out his hand and adds that if she has nowhere to run, she can run away with him. She happily accepts his offer and, taking his hand, requests to go with him. Alba is aware that he should not get close to a girl connected to his death flag, but he cannot help thinking that he would rather see her smile than cry. Just half a year later, he can see a smile on her face that suits her far better than tears. After Celia regained her good mood, she sent a letter to her father, the Pope, and received his reply today. As Alba asks her what the letter says, she suddenly hugs him. She then quietly asks if he will stay with her, to which he responds with a laugh, leaving Celia confused. He then assures her that of course he will, because he is the one who saved her and therefore he is responsible for her until the very end. Overjoyed, she hugs him again and expresses how happy she is. Alba suspects that she probably needs him to take her to the church where her father resides, and since it is his fault that she ran away, he knows he will not escape punishment easily. Celia then shows him an image and says they should go together to that place. This shocks him as the image turns out to be a pamphlet for Criana Academy, the setting of the game. For Alba, that place is the executioner's block, overflowing with death flags, and he has promised himself never to approach it. Yet it seems the goddess of destiny will not let him escape. Celia then explains that her father suggested she attend the academy if she wishes to live a normal life, and if Alba comes with her, she will have the best school life ever. Hearing this, Alba responds with a warm smile, but deep down he does not want to set foot in that place. He has tried his best to stay away from Criana Academy and the main characters of the game and instead live quietly in the mountains. Yet despite his efforts, he ends up going there anyway. When they arrive in front of the academy, Celia tells him to look at how big it is and he nervously agrees. Noticing his unease, she asks if he is feeling all right because he looks pale, to which he replies that it is just a bit of carriage sickness. Hearing this, she offers him a lap pillow to rest on. Alba nervously thanks her for the offer and declines. Though he has come here because of Celia, he does not blame her, as she is unaware of the death flags awaiting him at the academy or of how they are all connected to the heroines of the game, including herself. The question remains, why did he agree to come to this academy with her? To answer that, one must return to when Celia received letters from her father. Among them, there is one addressed to Alba. The sender of the letter, Celia's father, is the founder of the most powerful religion in this world, the Goddess Church. His power and authority stand on equal footing with the King of Criana. Since he has been sheltering his daughter Celia due to certain circumstances, he fears that the letter might contain an angry warning or even a threat. However, when he opens the letter and reads a few lines, he is surprised, as it is filled with apologies and gratitude. In the letter, Celia's father explains that she is the Saintess not because she is his daughter, but because she has received the grace of the goddess and has been born with miraculous power. From the moment she was born, her fate was sealed, and she devoted herself to the goddess's teachings. Thus, she visits the people who believe in the goddess ever since she becomes aware of her surroundings. No matter how hard or perilous the journey was, she sought to bring salvation to stray sheep with the power of the goddess. She never once complains to him and only fulfilled her duty. When asked, she always said that it is her duty as the Saintess. He felt deeply grateful for his daughter to say such words with a smile on her lips. However, he now realizes what a fool he has been to never notice that her smile hides how she truly feels. He realizes that his daughter is also one of the stray sheep who cries on the inside, wishing for someone to save her. The Pope believes that Alba not only saved his daughter but also her soul, for which he feels nothing but the deepest gratitude toward him. Even so, Celia is still the Saintess, and he is still the founder, yet as her father he wants to fulfill his beloved daughter's wish and support her in obtaining a normal life. With the situation being as it is, the Pope adds that Alba can go ahead and laugh at this old sinner. Reading this, Alba declares that he will not laugh. As Celia looks confused upon hearing this, he tells her that her father is a wonderful man, to which she happily agrees. Moving on, he continues reading the part where the Pope states that he wishes to make a request, which makes Alba groan in annoyance. Seeing his reaction, she asks him what is wrong, but he does not respond and continues reading. The Pope asks if Alba could attend the Criana Academy alongside Celia. He describes the academy as a place where many talented people faithful to the goddess gather, and explains that no other place can match the education of the Royal Academy. Reading this, Alba informs Celia that her father wants him to go with her to the Criana Academy. The Pope believes that Celia will be able to live the life she wishes for if she attends the academy. He expresses that his mind would be at ease if someone as strong as Alba, who single-handedly defeated the assassins, remained at her side. He also feels certain that Celia herself wishes to stay with him as well. Noticing Alba's troubled expression, Celia tells him that it is okay. With a smile, she assures him that she does not mind going to the academy alone. Seeing her say this, Alba now understands how she deceived her father, as that smile hides her true intentions very well. He then informs her that the academy is a very dangerous place with many people, and many of them are bad individuals eager to throw their weight around. This confuses Celia, while Alba continues, loudly explaining that since the academy is managed by the country, her life would not be in any danger as it was during her pilgrimages. However, there are plenty of unpleasant men who want nothing more than to seduce a cute girl like her. As this confuses her further, Alba loudly asks if she still wants to go. Understanding his intentions and concern, she replies that she is certain there will be many people who will also become her friends. Alba responds by warning her that she will end up losing all her free time to studies she has no real interest in. Celia replies that she has only studied the Bible before, so she is actually looking forward to it. He also tells her that being in an unfamiliar place might exhaust her, but Celia says that she is excited to go somewhere new. With that, they both smile at each other, and after a brief pause, Alba says they will be going together. This makes her very happy, and she hugs him. Alba knows he should stay away from the academy and from this girl, but he has already made up his mind to rebel against the death flags with everything he has. Especially since he believes a smile suits Celia far better than a sad frown. She then expresses how grateful she is for the guidance of the goddess. This annoys Alba, as that goddess of hers is trying to guide him to his death. Now that he thinks about it, he wonders if it was the goddess who guided him to this world in the first place. As he reflects on this, he notices something else written on the letter which makes him groan again. Noticing this, Celia asks if he has changed his mind about the academy. He awkwardly declines and replies that he is looking forward to it. He reacts like this because of the final wish her father wrote, which is for him not to even dare make his daughter cry. Thus, just like that, he had to come to the academy with Celia. After getting out of the carriage, as they walk toward the academy, both are surprised by how large the building is. Alba finds it far more imposing than he ever imagined through a screen. They also notice some statues along the path to the academy building. Celia explains that they are statues of the goddess, the hero, and the holy beast that protects the maiden. When she asks if he does not find them wonderful, Alba feels a nagging sense that each one is tied to different events in the game, though he cannot remember which. He then reminds her to call him Al when they are at the academy. She quickly apologizes for forgetting and addresses him as Al. Since he wants to hide his identity to avoid death flags, Celia's father has provided him with the identity of Al, the Holy Knight Apprentice. Setting that aside, Celia is very surprised to learn that he ran away from his family and is now considered dead by them. She assures him that if they run into any problems with his family, her father will certainly crush them under his thumb. Hearing this, Alba finds her father's power truly fearsome, but even with his help, he plans to do his best to stay away from anyone connected to his death flags. As he grows frustrated that his memory of the game is so unclear, he hears a group of people shouting something. It turns out they have already recognized Celia and are shocked to see the Saintess here. Because of this, a large crowd quickly gathers around her, even pushing Alba away. This makes him realize that this is what he should have worried about all along, as Celia is literally a superstar in this world. Surrounded by a crowd of people who keep calling her Saintess, Celia begins to panic. As she closes her eyes and wishes for a normal life, a sudden bolt of lightning rushes through the crowd. It is Alba who swiftly carried Celia away from them. He declares that she is here not as the Saintess but as a student of Criana Academy. Thus, he urges everyone to refrain from thoughtlessly crowding her. Even though it's only in name as a Holy Knight Apprentice, Alba resolves to protect Celia at any cost, and seeing his reaction makes her feel very happy. Meanwhile, the crowd is left shocked and confused, wondering what just happened as Alba took Celia away in the blink of an eye. They quickly conclude that, judging by his ability, he must be the son of a great noble family. From behind, a girl watches as Alba and Celia continue walking toward the academy. She appears shocked, but not by Alba's actions, rather she seems to recognize him. After entering the academy, Celia suggests they hurry to collect their uniforms, but Alba stands frozen, still hesitant. Although he believed himself prepared, the reality of standing inside Criana Academy, the very place where Alba Aretia is destined to meet his doom, makes him tremble. Noticing this, Celia quickly takes his hand. She reassures him that everything is fine and tells him not to be afraid because she is with him. Hearing this, he smiles at her, feeling pathetic that he is the one meant to protect her, yet she is the one comforting him. As expected of the Saintess, she completely calmed him down, for which he thanks her. She then starts giggling and admits that she is nervous as well. Inside the main building, they come across a massive stained glass window depicting the hero and the goddess. While Celia wonders whether it is meant to show the hero protecting the goddess, Alba finds its size impressive. As Celia sits and begins to pray, Alba notes that she never fails to pray for everyone regardless of time or place. However, when she prays aloud, asking the goddess to place her in the same class as Alba, he realizes her request is entirely personal. Later, at the uniform distribution section, a teacher informs them that they are assigned to the unicorn class and hands them their uniforms. Celia is delighted to be in the same class as Alba, and he finds it reassuring as well. The old teacher chuckles and tells them to enjoy their school life to the fullest. Celia accepts and thanks him, while Alba suspects this old man might be tied to some kind of event from the game. Setting that aside, the two leave the building, happy to be classmates. While Alba feels relieved that nothing from the game has triggered, Celia excitedly expresses her anticipation about wearing the uniform. When she calls him Alba, he reminds her again that inside the academy she must call him Al, and she again apologizes for forgetting. Suddenly, someone steps in front of them and calls out to Alba by his real name, shocking them both. It is the girl from earlier, who asks if despite his different hair color he is truly Alba. Noticing her fiery red hair, Alba immediately recognizes her. She is unforgettable to the real Alba, and her name is Elena, one of the romance targets and heroines of the game. More importantly, she is Alba's childhood friend and his former fiancé, one of the key figures tied to his death flag. Elena asks him why he is here with the Saintess, and noticing his troubled expression, Celia asks Elena if she is mistaking him for someone else. She explains that this person is her Holy Knight apprentice named Al, who also serves as her attendant. Hearing this, Elena finds it ridiculous, saying he simply removed Ba from Alba to create Al. Realizing they have been caught in their lie, Celia panics and nervously blurts out that he is Al and definitely not Alba, who is now having an awkward encounter with someone he knows because he ran away from home. Hearing this, Elena confirms that Alba indeed ran away from home, which shocks him, but Celia continues frantically insisting that she is wrong and that the Alba who once saved her life is now Al. While he tries to stop her, Elena further confirms that Alba met the Saintess after running away, and she now openly suspects that he is the one who spread the rumor of his death. Hearing this, Alba tries to act oblivious, claiming he has no idea what she is talking about, but Elena suddenly unsheathes her sword and slashes at him, which he easily dodges. She warns him that if he continues playing dumb any longer, she will cut him down. He is shocked by her reaction as her attack looked serious. As Celia calls out his name in worry, he tells her to stay back. The commotion causes a crowd to gather, and people begin to recognize Elena from the prestigious Persia family, wondering what she is doing with the man who serves as the Saintess's attendant. Ignoring the crowd, Elena menacingly demands once again to know if he is not Alba Uretia. Alba realizes he can't talk his way out of this, but since he has already decided to fight his fate with all his strength, there is no turning back. After a brief pause, he again insists that his name is Al, to which Elena smiles and replies very well. Telling him to engrave this into his body, she suddenly slashes at him, declaring that this is the crime and punishment for deceiving the Persia family. As he dodges her attack, he realizes how dangerous the situation is since Elena is the best swordswoman in the game. But what shocks him more is that she wears a sad expression instead of one of anger. When she rushes to attack again, he instantly vanishes before her eyes, shocking her and the onlookers, only to reappear behind her and tell her to calm down, which stuns her further. As she swings her sword backward in surprise, Alba effortlessly stops it by catching it with his finger, shocking not only her and Celia but also the crowd watching. He is able to do this so easily is thanks to his magic power. After running away from home, he acquired a collection of books on magic, which state that fire, water, and wind are elemental affinities that represent the power of nature, and that one must harmonize with the attribute best suited to them. Remembering this, he recalls how, while playing the game, he used to study the attribute weaknesses of enemies before battle. Following the book's instructions, he begins focusing his mind and harmonizing with the world around him, and in doing so he feels a faint sensation beyond his five senses. By continuing this practice, he discovers that his natural attribute is lightning. From that point onward, he constantly sharpens this sensation and hones it for years until he masters the power of magic to the extent that he can wield it freely. He eventually becomes able to transform his body into lightning itself and travel vast distances in the blink of an eye. Now that he can finally do it, he finds this power both incredible and perfectly fitting for the strongest villain. Back in the present, he requests Elena to at least hear him out, but she refuses, insisting that she will not listen to any more of his foolish nonsense. He apologizes to her, admitting that he knows she resents Alba, but now he is simply Al. Hearing this, she begins trembling with emotion, and just as she is about to respond, Alba vanishes again. As the people nearby are shocked that he disappears once more, they are even more surprised when they notice that the Saintess has also disappeared. Since both of them are nowhere to be seen, Elena realizes they have escaped. As tears run down her face, a fellow student asks her if she is all right. She replies that she is fine and claims she just has a bit of dust in her eyes. Meanwhile, Alba arrives directly in a city and believes that they are probably far enough now. Celia expresses her surprise at suddenly being carried away like that, to which he apologizes. Noticing that she is pouting at him, he asks if she is angry and she replies that she is not. She then asks who the beautiful lady named Elena was. Before he can answer, Celia says that despite Elena being more mature than her, with a bigger chest and being very pretty, she is not jealous at all. Hearing this, Alba bursts into laughter, prompting Celia to ask why he is laughing. He replies with a warm smile that she is a terrible liar. Setting that aside, he asks if they should head to the house her father has prepared for them, but Celia declines, which confuses him. She clarifies that she will only go if he carries her the entire way, which after a brief pause he agrees to. From today's events, it seems to Alba that life at Criana Academy is going to be full of trouble right from the start. Later, when they arrive in front of the house prepared for them, both of them are stunned by how large it is. While Alba looks around, Celia notices something and tells him to look. What she points out is a vegetable garden, where she explains they can grow their own crops just like they do in the mountains. Alba is deeply impressed, since this house is located in the heart of the royal capital where people from all over the world gather. Having a two-story house with its own garden must be incredibly expensive, something to be expected from Celia's father. They then enter the house and find it well furnished, with Alba and Celia each having their own separate room on the second floor. However, there is still one matter to take care of, so Alba asks Celia about it, but she replies that she has not received any money. Alba explains that he thought perhaps her father had given her some living expenses along with the house. Celia clarifies that her father told her if she wishes to live an ordinary life, she must earn her living herself. Alba feels glad that her father is not simply spoiling her, but is genuinely trying to help her become independent. However, Celia adds that her father also said he would give her money if things ever became too difficult. Hearing this, Alba immediately takes back his earlier thoughts and believes her father is still too soft. Since they do not have much money, Alba decides to find work immediately, but Celia tells him that he does not need to work because she will be the one earning for them. As this confuses him, Celia explains that her father has already arranged for her to work at the church. The Saintess has a divine blessing bestowed by the goddess. Among these blessings is oracle hearing, which helps avert many disasters thanks to the goddess's warnings. Another is healing power, a high-level magic that cures all wounds and illnesses. Troubled and sick believers gather in hopes of benefiting from the Saintess's power. Celia receives a portion of the donations from these believers. She took this role with the pure intention of helping everyone, but the reason she was sent on harsh pilgrimages since childhood was not because of that. He suspects that someone very greedy must have orchestrated it, as her pilgrimages draw massive donations to the church. This means the Saintess is literally a gold mine. Noticing him scowling, Celia asks him what is wrong, and hearing her voice, he snaps out of it and says it is nothing. He then insists that he will work too so she does not have to worry about money, but Celia questions why despite her saying she will earn for them. Alba explains that letting a girl do all the work while the man does nothing is a blow to his pride, but Celia argues again that since they live together, it should be fine. In response, he bluntly tells her to save that kind of devotion for her future husband. Hearing this, she begins hitting Alba while he asks her why, but when he looks at her clearly, he notices that she has started crying. She then leaves the room, saying she does not care anymore and telling him to do whatever he wants. He asks where she is going and she replies that she will be eating dinner by herself. Later, as Alba lies in bed, he believes he has not said anything wrong, since right now he is only her companion and she already has a proper match. The real protagonist of Criana fantasy, Yuri, who is not only very handsome but also a master of both sword and magic. He is a true saint, the complete opposite of a villain like Alba, and more importantly, all the heroines in the game fall for Yuri. Alba believes that when this happens, there will be no reason for him to stay with Celia. It has now been 3 months since they first met. On the first day, when he brought her to his cabin, she found it lovely and asked if she could really stay there. Alba assured her that she can stay as long as she wants and reminded her that here she is not a saintess but a normal girl. A few days later, she began working in the fields with him, helping harvest vegetables. She also started learning to cook with him and became familiar with the Goman bath he had built. At night, they walked together under the starry skies of the mountains. For the first time in his life, he felt truly relaxed with Celia by his side. Right now, if he says he would not miss her when she leaves, he knows he would be lying, but if Celia moves forward with the life that is meant for her, then he will accept it. He convinces himself that if this happens, he will also avoid a death flag. A few moments later, Celia knocks on his door and enters, apologizing for earlier, but then notices that Alba has already fallen asleep. She quietly expresses that it is all thanks to him that she is here now, and while covering him with a sheet, she thanks him. Later, as sunlight streams through the window and birds chirp outside, Alba wakes up. Realizing it is already morning, he wonders when he fell asleep, then notices something on the table. It is food left by Celia along with a note apologizing for yesterday and informing him that she has gone to the church for her duties. After reading the note, he thanks her and after freshening up starts eating the burger. He finds it delicious and feels glad that they have familiar food, which he suspects is because this is a game world. Since Celia goes to the church to earn money, he is determined to do the same. Later, he arrives at the Adventurers Guild, which serves as a mediator that manages and assigns jobs from all over the kingdom. They handle every kind of work, from simple deliveries to dangerous missions such as exterminating monsters known as magic beasts, so there is a wide variety of requests to choose from. Those who take on the dangerous requests are the hardened group that gathers here for money and fame, and they are called adventurers. In the game Criana Fantasy, adventuring is not necessary to complete the story. But since this is real life for Alba, he sees no reason not to do it, especially because it is the fastest way to earn money. After reviewing the quest board, he decides to take on the gigantic Magic Beast Extermination quest, which offers a reward of 5 million curia, the currency of this world. Though he has never fought a magic beast before, he is confident in the strength he has built up over the past 3 years. Then some guards call out to Alba, informing him that what he is looking at is the 5-star quest board and that there is no way a newcomer like him is already at 5 stars. Hearing this, Alba remembers that rookie adventurers can only accept simple 1-star requests. An adventurer's star rank increases based on quest completions and contributions to the guild, so he cannot obtain the high rewards without first raising his rank. He then goes to the reception area, where a receptionist greets him and explains that this is the 1-star reception. He begins discussing the quest with her and asks which type would suit him best. After checking the rank 1 board, she gives him an herb collection quest, and with that, he leaves the guild. Although the herb collection quest does not pay much, it cannot be helped since he is a beginner, so he must start small and slowly raise his rank. Since taking a carriage to the Western Forest is expensive, he decides to run there instead. He then takes his stance and instantly dashes away like a bolt of lightning, moving so quickly that he appears to others as a streak of light. Meanwhile, two students of Criana Academy are walking through town, and the girl complains that living in a dorm is such a drag. The boy with her replies that it cannot be helped because rent in the royal capital is extremely expensive. But even then, he believes it is still quite fortunate that they can attend Criana Academy despite being commoners, to which the girl agrees. Just then, Alba rushes past them so quickly that the girl wonders if it was only a gust of wind, but the boy notices what it really was and finds it incredible. The boy turns out to be none other than Yuri's, the true protagonist of the Criana fantasy game. When the girl asks him what is wrong, he replies that it is nothing, addressing her as Alice. Setting that aside, he asks if she is not buying too much, to which she responds that a girl needs all sorts of things. Alba quickly stops in his tracks as Yuri's is not the only one who notices him. He also notices Yuri's and recognizes him. Later in the mountains near Criana Academy, Alba successfully gathered all the herbs required for the quest. With that task completed, he prepares to leave, and despite being high up in the mountains, he easily leaps from one ledge to another as he makes his way down. Thanks to his years of living in the mountains, traversing the terrain has become effortless. Later, when Alba arrives at the Adventurers Guild, the receptionist is shocked because it has only been 3 hours since he accepted the quest, yet he has already completed it. She asks him how he managed to finish so quickly since it is normally a 6-hour round trip. Alba explains that he ran at high speed, which astonishes her. However, since the quest is complete, it is not her place to pry further, so she hands him the quest reward. With this, he earns 10,000 curia in 3 hours for a 1-star quest. Since this amount is insufficient, he knows he must rise in rank quickly if he wants to earn more. Setting that aside for now, he wonders how Celia is doing. Meanwhile, in the church, Celia fulfills her duty as the Saintess, praying for her followers who have gathered to see her. The priests are pleased with her presence as her followers are overjoyed to have her among them. With this many followers coming to see her, Celia ended up earning over 10 times more than Alba in the same amount of time. Later in the capital, Alba eats ramen and finds the place remarkable because it has a ramen shop. However, the capital is also home to the Eretia Duchy, Alba's family. Since 3 years have passed, his brother should have inherited the house and title by now. Although they are brothers, Alba ran away immediately after his reincarnation, so they are essentially strangers, and he knows little about the state of their relationship. Considering that they never denied the rumors of his death, it is certain that they think very little of him. Setting that aside, unlike the mountains, the capital has people who know Alba. Because of this, he must stay alert so he does not run into people like Elena. As he leaves the ramen shop, he resolves not to let his guard down since anything could lead to a death flag. Just then, he hears people shouting for everyone to watch out, and it turns out they are warning about a runaway horse. A girl falls to her knees while trying to escape, and the horse charges straight at her while all she can do is scream helplessly. At the moment the horse is about to trample her, a bolt of lightning shoots through the crowd and strikes the beast. As clouds of dust rise into the air, the girl is stunned to see the flash of blue lightning. When the dust begins to clear, Alba asks the girl if she is all right. Once the view becomes clear, it is revealed that Alba has taken down the horse and now stands atop it. He asks the girl again if she is okay, to which she confirms that she is fine. Alba then steps off the horse and, despite only knocking it out, apologizes to it while the girl thanks him. However, she remarks that she has seen his face somewhere before, which shocks him. He worries that if she is a noble, it would not be unusual for her to recognize the Duke's second son, Alba. Before he can respond, the crowd erupts in cheers, praising how amazing and cool he is for taking down the wild horse. Quickly, he pulls up his hood to hide his face. He acted because he could not ignore her scream, but he realizes that if he keeps standing out like this, there is a chance someone will recognize him as Alba. While he considers this, a group of knights arrives at the scene, and their leader asks about the commotion. The girl Alba rescued immediately identifies the man as Duke Roy Eretia, which shocks Alba. Roy also seems to recognize the girl and asks if she is from the Lupica barony, to which she confirms, introducing herself as Mina and reminding him that they met at his succession ceremony. She then explains that the hooded man saved her from a runaway horse. Judging by their conversation, such as addressing him as the Duke and mentioning the succession ceremony, Alba wonders if this man Roy is his brother. Roy then expresses his gratitude to Alba as the one in charge of public order and a friend of the Lupica family. However, Alba does not respond, as he cannot allow Roy to discover who he truly is. Not receiving a reply, Roy asks whether Alba has not accepted his thanks or is simply being rude. Alba replies that it is not the case and tries to walk away, excusing himself. However, to his horror, Roy calls out the name Alba, which shocks him and forces him to stop in his tracks. Roy then explains that Alba's voice reminds him of his foolish little brother, which is why he called out that name. Feeling a bit suspicious, he asks Alba to show his face. With a trembling voice, Alba responds that his face is not worth showing to a duke, but Roy sternly declares that it is for him to decide and orders Alba to look at him. The situation turns dangerously serious, as the moment Alba shows his face, he has no idea what fate awaits him. But just then someone calls out to him as Al, saying they have found him, and judging by everyone's familiar reaction, this person seems to be well known among those present. Roy quickly identifies her as Elena Persia, and Elena greets him politely with a good day. For Alba, however, it is not good at all, as behind him stands his supposed brother Roy and before him his former fiancée, both of whom know the real Alba. With a tiger in front and a wolf behind, Alba finds himself in a perilous position and wonders what he should do. Roy then asks Elena if she knows this man, and she replies that he is her friend, a squire in training named Al. She adds that since he was late for their meeting, she came to find him, and she even comments that helping someone and showing up late does indeed sound like something a knight in training would do. Alba, however, is confused, wondering why she is covering for him. Since that is the case, Roy asks if that means he is not Alba. Hearing this, Elena acts confused and insists there is no way she could mistake Alba for someone else, especially considering she was once his fiancée, and beyond that she reminds everyone that Alba is supposed to be dead. After this statement, the two of them stare sharply at each other for a brief time. After that pause, Roy agrees with her, stating that his foolish brother who disgraced the family name is no more, and he apologizes to Al, who replies that it is all right. With that matter resolved, Roy suggests escorting Mina to her residence, to which she agrees and thanks him, but before leaving she turns to Alba and thanks him as well for saving her, which he accepts. With that, they all depart, leaving Elena and Alba alone. Since Alba does not want to be involved with her, he decides to run, thanking her by saying that because of her he managed to get away without trouble, and begins walking away, bidding farewell. Though uncertain of what just happened, at least his cover is not blown, so he decides it is best to leave quickly. But just then he is once again stopped in his tracks, this time with a sword pointed beside him by Elena. She tells him to stop as they need to talk, and she also calls him by his true name, Alba. He nervously averts his gaze and asks what she means, to which she threatens that if he continues to play dumb, she will reveal his identity to the Duke. Realizing that she knows after all, he gives up and says he will explain everything. This leaves him deeply frustrated, as he has not even started school yet and is already in trouble. He blames it all on the goddess of fate, thinking that she never misses a chance to torment him. The next day at Criana Academy, the entrance ceremony takes place. The headmaster congratulates the new students on their enrollment and urges them to nurture ambition and polish their wisdom, reminding them that they are the ones who will carry the future. The headmaster, the same old man who previously assigned the dress, loudly declares that his own destiny may shine brightly through the blessing of the goddess of fate before enthusiastically shouting, "Yay" and "Hooray." Witnessing this, Celia considers the headmaster to be very energetic, while Alba recalls him from the game as the helper character who provided hints to the player. With the ceremony concluded, Celia and Alba manage to safely enroll in Criana Academy without encountering any trouble thus far. However, Alba knows that within this academy, his true death flags will begin to appear. In total, 5 heroines are connected to these death flags, and among them he is already involved with 2, Celia and Elena. Adding more potential complications would only increase the risk of triggering his death. One of the remaining heroines is the princess, a hidden character who does not appear within the academy and therefore poses no concern. The real problem lies with the other 2, the protagonist's childhood friend Alice and the sage's disciple Lily. Alba must be extremely cautious around them as they are both his classmates. Yet even more concerning than the 5 heroines is another individual Alba must avoid at all costs, the protagonist of the game, Yuri, who is standing only a few people away. The danger does not stem solely from the fact that Yuri is the protagonist, but rather because nearly every villain in the game meets death at his hands. As Alba secretly observes him, their eyes suddenly meet. Alba quickly looks away, leaving Yuri momentarily confused. When Celia asks Alba if something is wrong, and Alice similarly questions Yuri, both dismiss it as nothing. Alba silently resolves never to become involved with Yuri under any circumstances and determines to spend his academy days without drawing attention to himself. Later, in the unicorn classroom, which both Celia and Alba attend, they find themselves surrounded by curious students. Alba quickly realizes it is impossible to remain unnoticed while seated next to the Saintess, whom everyone whispers about and stares at. More importantly, he notices Celia's nervousness and understands that achieving a normal school life will be difficult for her. As he wonders what to do, Celia suddenly stands and introduces herself as Celia Margaret, a first-year student in the unicorn class. She clarifies that she is present not as the Saintess but as their classmate and encourages everyone to call her simply Celia. The classroom erupts in chatter and she instantly wins everyone's hearts. The students begin addressing her as Celia instead of Saintess, relieving Alba of one concern. However, a new problem soon arises when a girl asks who Alba is. Other students begin to recognize his face and recall unpleasant rumors, scrutinizing him more closely. Alba realizes too late that the academy includes many noble children, and despite changes in his hair color and personality, there is still a risk of them discovering his true identity. At that moment, Celia suddenly takes the lead, introducing him as her friend, a holy knight apprentice named Al. Alba finds this difficult to believe, as becoming friendly with someone suspicious so suddenly seems implausible. Yet the others immediately accept the explanation and warmly greet him, shocking Alba, who recognizes the fearsome influence of the Saintess's presence. Celia then winks at him and he silently responds with gratitude. Soon after, another student greets Alba, revealing herself to be Elena. Alba asks if she is also in the unicorn class and she confirms, explaining that they are now classmates. While the others whisper about her beauty and skill with the sword, Celia quietly asks Alba if this is the girl from the other day. He confirms and reveals that he told her the truth about his real identity as Alba, not Al, because she is his former fiancée. Elena apologizes for the trouble she caused earlier, addressing Celia respectfully as Her Holiness. Celia, however, is left stunned after learning of Alba's former engagement to Elena. After the incident with Roy, Alba had admitted to Elena that he truly was Alba. Elena, surprised by the reunion, questions whether he ran away from home 3 years ago because he despised the ducal house. Alba confirms, explaining that he wished to abandon his old self and be reborn as someone new. He refrains from mentioning his reincarnation, knowing she would never believe it and fearing it could raise a death flag. Elena recounts that 3 years earlier, the Arecia family contacted her family to break off the engagement. Rumors at the time suggested he had gone missing, was presumed dead, or had been disposed of by the Duke. Alba laughs awkwardly, remarking that their opinion of him must have been very low. Elena admits that her family rejoiced at the separation, glad to be rid of a delinquent. Hearing this, Alba feels somewhat relieved and asks if she too had hated him. She admits that she had, calling him a despicable, womanizing scoundrel she often considered cutting down herself. This terrifies Alba, but after a pause, Elena confesses that when she believed he had died, she shed tears. A memory from their childhood resurfaces. A young Alba once asked a crying Elena why she was upset. She told him that her father said her personality and swordsmanship were too masculine and that she should act more like a woman. Young Alba bluntly replied that it did not matter whether she acted like a man or a woman. What mattered was the value of Elena herself. That moment had made her happy. Remembering this, she admits she did not dislike the Alba of their youth. This revelation surprises Alba, as it was never mentioned in the game, making him question whether the original Alba was ever truly a bad person. Elena continues, pointing out that he now guards the Saintess and recently risked his life to protect a woman from a runaway horse. To her, this proves he has truly been reborn. Alba laughs awkwardly, knowing the person inside is indeed different. Elena softly murmurs that he has become just like he once was. Alba, unable to hear clearly, reacts with confusion, but she dismisses it. She then asks what he plans to do about the nobles who despise him at the academy. Alba responds that he will simply do his best not to be exposed. After a pause, Elena promises to help him, surprising him. He thanks her warmly, making her blush, though she clarifies that in return he must also help her. She explains that since their engagement ended, she has been overwhelmed with suitors. If they bother her at the academy, he must drive them away. This shocks him, as it directly opposes his desire to remain inconspicuous. Back in the present, Alba reminds Elena of her promise, and she tells him not to forget his own. Overhearing this exchange and learning of their broken engagement, Celia feels her mind cloud with countless assumptions. She steps in, addressing Elena, who again refers to her as Her Holiness. Celia firmly reminds her that they are classmates and insists on being called Celia. Elena agrees and requests the same courtesy. With that, she pats Celia's head in greeting, surprising her. Celia greets her back, and the two instantly warm to one another, with Celia finding Elena beautiful and Elena finding Celia cute. Celia then confronts Alba about why he kept his connection to Elena a secret. He explains that he had not hidden it but simply never found the chance to tell her. Celia refuses the explanation and pouts, which Elena finds charming. At that moment, someone comments on Alba having a flower in each hand with both the Saintess and Elena. The person warns him not to get carried away, calling him a mere holy knight apprentice. When Alba asks who he is, the man mocks him as a country bumpkin. Elena identifies him as Walby, the eldest son of Count Walgett, and notes that he is one of the suitors she wants Alba to handle. Walby greets Elena, complimenting her beauty, but she responds with irritation, saying he never changes. Walby insists that despite his family being mere counts, they are still high-ranking nobles, and he believes their union would be an excellent match for House Persia. Elena curtly tells him not to bring marriage proposals to the academy. Shocked murmurs ripple through the crowd, but Walby presses on, declaring that as classmates he cannot let this opportunity slip. He extols Elena as a flower of the Persia family, blessed with royal blood, and insists she is worth more than she realizes. With grand confidence, he asks her to join him in marriage for the benefit of both their families. Before Elena can answer, Alba interrupts, asking what nonsense he is spouting. Though partly fulfilling Elena's earlier request, he also acts out of his own distaste for people like Walby. Alba declares that Walby is not suited for Elena because he fails to understand her true worth. The bold statement stuns Walby into silence, while the others and Celia are glad Alba intervened. Elena, recalling their childhood encounter, feels a deep surge of emotion at his words. Furious, Walby demands to know how Alba dares insult the House of Walgett. Declaring that he will not forgive this slight, he throws a handkerchief into the air. Alba catches it in confusion and asks what it means, only for the crowd to suddenly cry out that it signifies a duel, leaving him utterly shocked. Criana Academy enforces strict rules that forbid students from fighting to the death. However, students do have the right to challenge others to a duel if it is to protect their dignity and pride. To initiate a duel, one must throw a designated handkerchief at the opponent, and if the opponent catches it, this is considered proof of agreement. Duels are permitted only on the Academy's official dueling grounds and require a designated referee. That referee is a black cat who introduces itself as Kate Sith and announces the duel between Walby and Alba. At this, the audience erupts into cheers, some supporting Alba, some Walby, while others attend simply to see the black cat. Among the crowd, Celia expresses surprise that Alba has actually accepted the duel, while beside her, Elena remarks that fleeing from a duel is a shame heavier than death, urging Alba to prepare himself. Despite her words, Alba remains in shock as he accepted the duel by accident without even knowing the rules. Walby mocks him, calling him a country bumpkin and urging him to surrender while he still has the chance. Before Alba can respond, the referee cat informs them that both must declare what their pride and dignity stand for. Alba recalls that in the game, the dueling system was merely a side event unrelated to the main story, which is why it had nothing to do with his death flag. Walby declares that if Alba loses, he must stay out of Elena's affairs, adding that he will also take the Saintess for himself. This infuriates Alba, and since his death flag is irrelevant here, he accepts. He states that if he wins, Walby must stay away from them. Walby agrees, confident of his victory. With both sides' oaths established, the referee cat commences the duel. As the crowd cheers, Celia asks Elena whether Walby is truly that strong. Elena explains that Walby is a fire mage considered the best in their year in terms of destructive power. Walby begins chanting, flames gathering in his hand. Seeing this, Alba wonders if he intends to open with a spell. From the intensity of the mana, the referee cat realizes Walby is preparing a high-level incantation. Shouting the spell's name, Purgatory Flame, Walby hurls a massive fireball at Alba, creating an explosion so violent it shocks everyone. Worried, Celia cries out Alba's name. As smoke engulfs the area, Walby bursts into laughter, convinced that Alba has been reduced to ashes. He then asks the referee whether killing in a duel is considered a crime. The cat replies that it is not, but reminds him that as referee its role is to prevent such outcomes. Walby is confused, and the referee clarifies that there is no need for it to intervene yet. At that moment, Alba suddenly appears behind Walby and calmly remarks that the flames were impressive. However, he points out that Walby leaves himself wide open while chanting. Walby, too shocked to respond coherently, demands to know how Alba appeared behind him. The referee cat is equally impressed by Alba's speed. Those who have witnessed Alba fight before recognize the move as his instantaneous teleportation and wonder how he performs it. Elena recalls when they first encountered him at the academy, where he used this same ability to dodge her attack and even catch it at incredible speed. She thinks that his movements feel almost inhuman, but before she can finish the thought, another voice supplies the word lightning. The girl explains that Alba does not generate lightning but instead transforms his body into the phenomenon itself. She elaborates that magic is the act of introducing phenomena into the world, and Alba simply becomes a phenomenon. The other students, surprised by her sudden presence, whisper among themselves. Though they find her cute, they are curious about her identity. Ignoring them, she muses that perhaps this is why Alba can use magic without chanting, though she still finds it nearly impossible. Since this method is so dangerous and difficult, she doubts many present can even comprehend it. Recalling Alba's name from the announcement, she states that the power he displays belongs to the domain of her master, the sage, and therefore she will not lose to him. This girl is Lily, one of the heroines of Criana fantasy and the sage's disciple. Back in the duel, after Alba appeared behind him, Walby quickly retreats. Declaring that Alba will not escape again, he begins chanting another spell. As his long, tedious incantation continues, Alba tells him to stop, reminding him once again that chanting leaves him full of openings. Seeing that Walby refuses to heed him, Alba turns into lightning once more and strikes before the chant is complete, thrusting him away. Wallby is sent flying out of the ring and crashes to the ground. Alba wonders if he might have overdone it, but since Wallby has left the ring, the referee cat announces Alba as the victor. All the students then began cheering for Alba, while some cat nurses rush to Wallby and after checking find him unconscious but unharmed. In the audience, two students in particular watch the fight with great focus. Yuri's the true protagonist and his childhood friend Alice another heroine. They are astonished by Alba's ability to cast without chanting, something they consider impossible. Alice is grateful they witnessed the duel and asks for Yuri's opinion. He agrees, explaining that while it looked like Alba defeated Wallby with one strike, in truth, Alba never actually landed a blow. Instead, he merely thrust his arm forward at such incredible speed that it produced a shockwave powerful enough to launch Wallby. Alice is even more impressed upon hearing this, and Yuri's confirms it. Alice then remarks that Alba is not the only unbelievable one because while she and the other students could only perceive a blur and a flash of blue light, Yuri's was able to see and analyze the movement in detail. Curious, she asks who would win if Yuri's and Alba fought. Yuri's is taken aback, but Alice clarifies that since he could follow Alba's movements, perhaps he could counter them. Concluding that he would still lose, she presses him for confirmation. Yuri's agrees, adding that there is no need for them to fight. After a brief pause, however, he admits that if Alba were ever to bring sadness to those he holds dear, he would not lose. After the duel, Alba meets Celia and Elena. Celia praises his strength while Elena expresses her surprise, asking when he acquired such power. He tells her he trained while living deep in the mountains. In truth, it was not training alone but also the natural talent of the real Alba, something only he knows in this world. In the game, Alba is a powerful character capable of becoming the final boss, and if that Alba trains and grows, he can become strong enough not to lose even to the protagonist. With this potential to become the strongest, the protagonist feels reassured that his own confidence in strength is not unfounded. Elena remarks that for someone who once hated effort, Alba now trains diligently, making him seem like a completely different person. Alba reminds her that he has been reborn into a new self. Celia then asks if the old Alba was truly so terrible, and Elena confirms it, calling him the lowest of the low. This leaves Alba somewhat awkward, but Celia insists that despite everything to her, Alba is the best. She hugs him, prompting him to remind her once again to call him Al within the academy. He then wonders aloud whether he may have gone too far in the duel, but Celia assures him he did not, insisting that anyone who troubles Elena deserves to be sent flying. She promises that if anything happens, she will heal him, and he calls her a reliable Saintess. Watching them, Elena feels something stir within her. She thanks Alba for dueling on her behalf, and he reminds her that he promised to protect her. Elena blushes and agrees. Alba believes that everything is fine since duels have nothing to do with his death flag. Yet fate continues to move forward, and without his knowledge, the key figures are already being drawn in. A few days later, in their house in the capital, Alba is soundly sleeping when Celia comes to wake him up for breakfast. She sits on top of him, prompting him to greet her good morning and tell her that he cannot breathe. She replies that she is doing it because he would not have woken up otherwise. After freshening up, Alba sits at the dining table to eat. Seeing the dishes she prepared, he compliments her, saying her cooking has improved. She responds by reminding him that she did get a lot of practice in the mountains. He then suggests that he handle dinner for the night, to which she tells him she wants some of the nikujaga he makes. After eating breakfast, they prepare to go to the academy, and Celia reminds him not to forget his lunch, for which he thanks her. As Alba pauses and notices that the lunchbox looks very similar to the bento he used to get in his past life, Celia asks him what is wrong. He replies that it is nothing, so Celia suggests they get going or they will be late. Celia then mentions that she finds the academy classes very fun and asks for his opinion, to which he replies that he finds them very hard. On their way to the academy, they come across a few friends and also Elena, whom he greets good morning along with the others. Later in class, Alba plays with his pencil and thinks about how peaceful his life has been at the academy. He notes that ever since the duel on the first day, nothing that could be called a death flag has happened. When the teacher asks who can answer the question, Celia quietly tells Alba to pay attention, while Elena answers the teacher's question and receives praise for it. After class ends, Alba walks alone through the school hallway since no other students come near him. This makes him believe that he went a little too overboard during the duel, which completely terrified the students of him. On the bright side, thanks to that, he is able to avoid anything related to his death flags. Although he should be thankful for that, he also feels a bit lonely. Meanwhile, during lunch break, Elena comes to invite Celia and asks where Alba is. Celia responds by saying how unbelievable Alba is as he ate the bento all by himself before the break even started. After that, he said he was going to take a nap and left, which he indeed does, as he is now sleeping under a tree. Learning this, Elena wonders if he has really changed at all, as he still seems to be the same delinquent. The reason Alba avoids having lunch with them is because it is an event in which having lunch with the heroines raises their favorability. Though he feels bad for Celia, it cannot be helped since he needs to avoid doing anything that might trigger a death flag. As he is dozing off, a girl suddenly comes to him and asks if she may join him for lunch, which surprises him. It turns out to be the girl he saved from a runaway horse, and she thanks him again. Though he recognizes her, he cannot remember her name, so the girl tells him that it is Mina. She expresses how surprised she was to learn from the duel that he is a first-year student at the same academy as her. As Alba replies that he is surprised as well that she attends this academy, Mina reaches out her lunch box toward him. Nervously, she says that she wanted to show her gratitude, so she made this bento and asks him to take it. This comes as a shock to Alba, as it is very similar to a lunch event from the game. However, he does not remember any character named Mina among the heroines, which can only mean that this girl is a side character. Since Alba doesn't respond, Mina takes it as a rejection and apologizes for bothering him. However, he quickly takes the bento from her hand and thanks her, saying he will gladly accept it, which makes her very happy. Since she isn't a main character, Alba believes there shouldn't be any problem eating her bento. As they sit under the tree and Alba begins eating, he compliments how delicious the food is. Hearing this, Mina asks if it is true and expresses how happy she is to hear that. However, she keeps addressing him as Sir Al, so he tells her to drop the Sir since they are classmates. Since he says so, she starts calling him Al. Alba then warns her that she shouldn't get too close to him, to which the girl asks why not. He responds by explaining that if she hangs out with a guy like him, people might ignore her too, which he believes would be a drawback. She understands what Alba is trying to say and replies that this is her own decision and she doesn't care what others think or how they see her. Alba is surprised by her strong will and her earnest eyes, making him believe that she must be a strong-willed character in the game. Mina then adds that there are benefits too. As this confuses Alba, she gives an example, saying that if she gets friendly with him, maybe he will save her again. Hearing this makes both of them laugh, and he then remarks that, of course, he will do everything he can to help her. Just then, someone approaches them, asking if they are having fun, which shocks Alba. It turns out to be Celia, who is clearly putting on a fake smile as she remarks that he wouldn't have lunch with her, yet here he is hitting on another girl. Alba quickly stands up and explains that it's a misunderstanding and he isn't hitting on Mina. Mina, who also stands up, suddenly says that she will be heading back to class, which confuses Alba. On her way back, she greets Celia and excuses herself as she leaves. Mina's sudden exit seems to confuse both Celia and Alba. However, she appears to have another reason, as she leaves after recognizing Celia as the Saintess. Setting that aside, Alba explains that the girl was Mina, a classmate he helped a while back. Hearing this, Celia asks if she was the one he saved from the runaway horse. He confirms this and recalls that she is from the Lupica barony and that Elena knew about her too. Celia then remarks that since she is their classmate, she might be participating in the next event. Hearing this shocks Alba, as he suddenly remembers that the event is finally starting. Criana Fantasy's first major in-game event is the youth field trip, which was proposed by the headmaster. In the event, students have to fight magic beasts in the Neep forest while gathering medicinal herbs. It serves more or less as a tutorial to teach new players how to battle, so only weak magic beasts are supposed to appear, making it relatively safe. However, it is still a major event because, depending on the player's choices, they can deepen their bond with one of the heroines. For Alba, however, it will lead to a death flag that he is discreetly trying to avoid. Later that day, the students are taken to the Neep forest for the field trip. A bit nervous, Celia asks if it isn't a little scary to fight magic beasts. Confidently, Alba assures her that it's fine since everyone is there and only weak magic beasts will appear. Elena then also assures Celia, telling her not to worry since she is there with her sword. Just then, a teacher requests everyone to follow behind him, and further assures the students that he is not the kind of teacher who would lose to a magic beast. Though the teacher is very confident now, Alba, who knows this event well, notes that what is about to happen will soon wipe the teacher's smile away. From what he remembers, there are 4 choices in the game. One is to rescue and treat the students alongside Celia. Another is to fight the magic beast alongside Elena. Then there is the choice to rescue Alice, the original protagonist's childhood friend who got separated, and the last one involves Lily, though he cannot clearly remember the details. Setting that aside for now, among the 4 choices, the protagonist is bound to appear. Therefore, Alba must be extremely careful in making his choice so he does not select the same path as the protagonist. As the field trip begins, Celia looks around the jungle with her friends while Elena defeats several monsters, impressing the other students. On the other hand, Yuli and Alice are chatting among themselves while Lily quietly reads a book. Meanwhile, the teacher instructs a group of students to stay calm and not act rashly as they are about to enter the magic beast's habitat. Suddenly, he faintly notices the ground shaking and senses a strange presence. As it grows closer and closer, he begins to realize what it is. However, it is already too late. Only when the monsters draw dangerously near does he finally confirm that it is a stampede. Panic spreads among the students while the teacher struggles to stay calm and orders everyone to retreat immediately. Celia, who is near the teacher's group, notices the beasts and is shocked, while Elena tries to calm everyone down. Aside from the monsters, Lily senses a strange presence nearby, and Alice becomes separated from Yuli's, who draws his sword as he notices the students fleeing in terror. Alba, who had anticipated this exact scenario, now fully confirms that it is the great stampede of the demonic beasts. The teacher instructs all students to stay calm and head out of the forest while he acts as a decoy. As the monsters draw even closer, Celia's friends urge her to run and she agrees. Elena, however, tells everyone to stay calm and get behind her. As promised, the teacher fights to hold off the monsters, buying time for the students to escape. Meanwhile, Alba calmly considers his next move, knowing his actions during this event will affect his bond with the heroines. The closer he becomes to any of them, the closer he approaches his death flag, a fate he must avoid at all costs. With that in mind, he decides to follow the same path the original villain Alba took in the game, to abandon everything and run away. In the meantime, Celia and her friends manage to reach a safer distance, but suddenly one of them is attacked by a bear-like monster. Seeing this, Celia screams in fear, drawing the creature's attention to herself. As it charges toward her, she shuts her eyes and screams Alba's name, wondering where he has gone. In the blink of an eye, like a flash of lightning, Alba appears and kicks the bear away from her. Opening her eyes and seeing Alba, Celia is relieved and calls out his name. After defeating the monster, Alba urges Celia to leave the forest immediately. She thanks him for saving her but refuses to run. Using her healing magic, she heals her injured friend and admits she is afraid but insists she wants to help everyone. She believes Alba can save them all with his power and asks him to do so. Hearing her words, Alba agrees. In that moment, he no longer cares about logic or death flags. He now believes that running away to save only himself would be pathetic. He accepts Celia's request and assures her to leave everything to him, and she tells him to be careful. Meanwhile, Elena fights a mantis-like monster and easily eliminates it. Afterward, she tells the others to run away, but suddenly 2 more monsters appear behind her before she can react. Fortunately, before the monsters can attack, Alba strikes them down with his lightning power, reducing them to dust. He then asks if she is all right, and surprised to see him, she replies that she is, of course, fine and tells him not to underestimate her. Alba agrees, saying he knows full well how skilled she is, which makes her happy. Still, he advises her to stay sharp, as overconfidence is dangerous, and she agrees. He then informs her that he will be going deeper into the forest and requests that she take care of this area. She agrees and tells him to be careful as well. Afterward, he ventures deeper into the forest, eliminating as many monsters as he can. From what he remembers of the game, this event ends once the player defeats the boss that resides in the deepest part of the forest. However, what concerns him most is the type of demonic beasts appearing here, because this event is supposed to be for beginners, meaning only low-level monsters should appear. Instead, the monsters showing up are the kind that appear in the midsection of the game. He suspects that the scenario is starting to deviate from the original because he has been acting differently from the game's lore. When he finally arrives at the deepest part of the forest, he comes face to face with the final boss, which has also changed. It is now a 3-headed demonic beast, the Chimera. Since he clearly remembers struggling against this monster, he realizes this is nowhere near a tutorial-level boss. Then suddenly he hears someone screaming for help, which shocks him. It turns out a student has been caught and is being held by the Chimera's snake-like tail. What shocks him even more is that Alba recognizes the girl. It is the heroine Alice. She introduces herself and asks for help, explaining that she got lost and ended up being caught by the monster. Although she is tied to his death flag, he cannot leave her here, so he decides to help and swiftly attacks the Chimera. However, to his surprise, his attack has no effect. The Chimera counterattacks by breathing fire, which he narrowly dodges. Alice then informs him that the Chimera's form is rapidly changing, confusing him further. She explains that in one phase, it is strong against magic but weak to physical attacks, and in another phase, it is the opposite, 2 different patterns in total. Since he is attacking it with lightning, the Chimera is currently in a phase where magic does not work on it. Learning this, Alba finally understands why he struggled so much against this boss in the game. In the game, the monster could not be defeated without cooperation from the player's allies. Knowing that, he plans to use magic to close the distance and then rely on physical attacks. Following this plan, he successfully lands a blow, but the Chimera suddenly speaks, telling him that a punch like that is useless and that he can never win. After saying this, it counterattacks, but Alba swiftly dodges and retreats. Even though fighting barehanded seems impossible, he must find a way since he did not bring any weapon. Alice then yells, calling his attempt pathetic and telling him to do his best, which annoys Alba, who retorts that she is in no position to talk while being captured. Enraged, the monster begins to coil tightly around Alice, causing her immense pain. Before it can crush her, however, the serpent's body is suddenly slashed into pieces, freeing her. This shocks Alba, as the one responsible turns out to be Yuli's. Alice expresses that she believed Yuli's would come to save her, to which he replies that of course he would. The monster then shifts its focus from Alba to Yuli's, who gently places Alice beneath a tree and tells her to rest while he handles the creature. With that, he rushes forward to attack the Chimera, asking if it is angry, as he too is furious that it tried to harm someone precious to him. Alba, watching the battle, is surprised by Yuli's swift and precise attacks, which he expected since Yuli's is the protagonist. However, his strikes seem to have little effect on the Chimera for some reason. Alice explains that the monster can change its weakness. Until now, it had been vulnerable to physical attacks, but it now appears immune to them. This means it must currently be weak to magic. Understanding this, Alba rejoins the fight and delivers a powerful kick charged with lightning. This time, the attack works, dealing significant damage to one of the Chimera's heads. Although Yuli's is the last person Alba wants to work with, he decides to cooperate in order to end the battle quickly and declares that he will lend Yuli's a hand. Meanwhile, Alice watches with excitement at this new development. Yuli's asks Alba for a plan, but Alba replies that there isn't one, as there is only one thing to do. Yuli's agrees and both of them charge at the Chimera together. Alba attacks first with his lightning kick, but the Chimera has already shifted its weakness again, rendering the strike ineffective. This gives Yuli's an opening to land a blow, after which he suggests that they keep alternating attacks. Alba agrees. From afar, Alice watches and believes the Chimera has chosen the wrong opponents, as blocking Alba's magic leaves it open to Yuli's swordsmanship, and blocking Yuli's swordsmanship leaves it exposed to Alba's magic. This coordination makes the two of them an invincible pair and the strongest first-year duo. Yuli's finds Alba's advanced lightning-based magic terrifying, while Alba finds Yuli's swordsmanship speed equally frightening. Together, they easily defeat the Chimera. After the battle, Yuli's thanks Alba, expressing his gratitude that they were able to rescue Alice safely. Alice also thanks Alba, but he brushes it off, saying it's fine. Shifting the topic, Yuli's asks how Alba knew both of their names since they only knew his from their duel. Taken off guard, Alba excuses himself by saying he keeps track of strong students who are his age, which Alice finds childish but believable since Yuli's is the strongest student from their village. Despite already knowing this, Alba asks if Yuli's and Alice are childhood friends since they come from the same village. Yuli's confirms that they grew up together, which is why he feels so relieved that she is safe. Hearing this, Alice asks if he was really that worried about her. Yuli's confirms, saying she is like a little sister to him. Hearing this, she looks slightly saddened, clicking her tongue and repeating the words little sister. Alba notices this just before she suddenly punches Yuli's, declaring that she can also be the older sister. Seeing this, Alba realizes Yuli's has his hands full. Yuli's then suggests that they head back to the others, but since he and Alice are from the Holy Wolf group and Alba is from the Holy Horse group, Alba decides to return alone. However, Yuli still suggests that they at least go halfway together, with Alice also telling him not to be so distant since they are all friends after all. Yet he refuses, claiming that he hates being dragged along, though the real reason is that they are, to him, walking death flags. Since he insists on going alone, Yuli's decides not to press further and accepts his decision. Before they part, Yuli's tells him that he will never forget Alba's kindness. In his mind, however, Alba tells Yuli's not to look at him with such a kind smile, as their destinies are fated to become rival enemies who will one day kill each other. It would have been easier in the future if Yuli's had a bad personality toward him from the start. After they leave, Alba turns toward a nearby tree and asks who is there. He informs the mysterious presence that he knows they have been watching the entire time. Since he cannot seem to see them, he asks if it is invisibility magic, but the person gives no response. Alba then states that it is useless to hide since, in his lightning state, he can sense any nearby presence. He again tells the person to hurry and reveal themselves, wondering whether they are an enemy or not. At that moment, the person expresses surprise that he can see through her invisible camouflage technique so easily. As she disables the invisibility magic, the figure turns out to be Lily, which shocks Alba. Believing Alba does not know her, Lily introduces herself. Alba then asks how she knows his name, to which she explains that there is not a single first-year student who does not know him after his flashy display during the duel. This frustrates Alba, who wishes he had never dueled that stupid Wallby and blames the entire situation on him. Setting that aside, he asks Lily why she was hiding. She explains that when she arrived, everyone was already fighting, so she simply observed. She then mentions that this kind of special magic is something she has only ever heard about from her master. Hearing this, Alba asks if she is referring to his lightning, but she denies it and tells him to look at the chimera. Just then, the chimera begins to turn into smoke as Alba watches in shock, its entire body fading away. Alice then explains that the chimera vanished because its magical energy dissipated, as it was a phenomenon transferred from another dimension, essentially a fabricated copy. However, this explanation goes completely over Alba's head, leaving him confused, so Alice continues, clarifying that it relates to the magical theory of interdimensional phenomenon fabrication. Even then, he still does not understand, so she repeats the name of the theory again. She explains that the phenomenon of creating fire is understood as using tools to produce frictional heat, a rule that naturally exists in this world. Magic, however, is different because it violates such natural rules by creating fire from nothing. Similarly, someone used magic to fabricate a copy of a phenomenon, the chimera, and make it appear from another world into this one. Upon learning this, Alba asks if it disappeared because it was not a real chimera but one created through magic. Lily confirms and explains that it is a special kind of magic that ordinary people cannot use. Since that is the case, Alba suspects that the ones using this magic. Before he can finish his thought, Lily confirms that the attackers seem to be targeting the students. Those very same mages who created the chimera are observing the entire scene from afar. One of them expresses surprise that a first-year student can take on a chimera and finds the Criana Academy quite impressive. The other mage responds that it is only natural, as the Criana Academy is one of the three great authorities alongside the royal family and the church. Setting that aside, the mage addresses the other as Yoru and informs her that she is out of mana and cannot use any more magic. Since that is the case, they decide to retreat. The mage named Yoru addresses the other as Milady and asks if there will be another opportunity. She replies telling Yoru to handle it herself, to which she responds that her powers are not suited for group battles. With that, both mages teleport away. Meanwhile, Alba is deep in thought. In the game, this was supposed to be just a tutorial event, but now it confirms his suspicion that the scenario is changing rapidly. He wonders if the mages who create magical beasts are somehow related to his death flag. He resolves to show no mercy if they turn out to be his enemies. Lily then reports that since the chimera has vanished, she believes the enemy is no longer in the forest. Given that, Alba decides to head back to the others and tells her to do the same. As he leaves, Lily calls out to him and asks who taught him magic. He calmly replies that he taught himself. Surprised to learn that he is self-taught, Lily mutters something softly in another language before remarking that she finds him fascinating and that she has taken an interest in him. After saying this, she departs, leaving Alba utterly shocked as he remembers that, in this event, the player could also deepen their relationship with Lily. Meanwhile, Celia is healing the injured students while Elena fights off the monsters, which begin to disappear one after another. Seeing this, Alice realizes that someone must have caused it, while Lily quietly giggles to herself. Alba, however, is irritated, realizing that he has unintentionally raised his death flag with all the other heroines. Even so, when he returns to Elena and Celia, he feels relieved that everyone is safe. At the academy, the Black Cat reports the situation to the headmaster, explaining that there were no casualties. The headmaster thanks the cat for its report and addresses it as Tamakuro. Tamakuro then begins to suggest what the enemy's true aim might be, but before it can finish, the headmaster concludes that it was perhaps the first-year students or something else entirely. What troubles him more is that the enemy's identity remains unknown. Though the headmaster does not know who they are or where they came from, he warns that they must not underestimate this academy. Later, Roy Aretia arrives at the scene and is informed by the teacher about the fake magic beast stampede. Understanding the situation, he quickly orders the knights to scatter and search the entire forest, which they accept without hesitation. From all the information he has received up to that point, Roy wonders whether the real target was truly the first-year students. Meanwhile, the students are brought to a safe place, where a teacher thanks them for their hard work and shows them where they will be resting for the night. The location surprises everyone, as it turns out to be an onsen, and the teacher explains that it contains a magical bath capable of healing injuries and illnesses, suggesting that the students rest and recover there. This makes Alba think that the academy is bold for turning a dangerous incident into a class activity. Hearing this, Celia asks him what he is talking about, and as he explains that he means the magic beast attack, she asks whether it was not simply a normal practical combat class, which she had found very frightening. Alba is stunned by her complete lack of awareness. At that moment, Elena loudly insists that the magic beasts were prepared by the Academy. As Alba tries to correct her, she responds that she already knows and points out that it is convenient to hide the truth in that way to avoid causing panic. Hearing this, he looks around and notices the other students, who are unaware of what really happened and are excitedly looking forward to entering the hot springs, which makes him believe that she has a point. He also believes that just like the three of them, there are certainly other students who sense that something was wrong. While Alba and Elena discuss the matter seriously, Celia still has no clue at all and expresses her confusion, saying that she does not understand any of it, prompting Elena to apologize and promise to explain everything clearly. Later, as Alba lies on the ground and rolls around, another student asks what he is doing, to which he replies that he is savoring the tatami mats and feeling the soul of Japan, causing yet another student to ask what he means. These moments remind him once again that this is a game world, which explains its mix of Japanese and Western styles. As one student begins to feel hungry, another reminds him that dinner is after the bath, and they decide to head to the hot springs immediately while warning each other not to peek at the women's bath. Hearing this, Alba recalls something. In Criana fantasy, there is a secret optional event called Peeping at the Women's Bath, and if chosen, the player can see the heroines in a revealing state, but the downside is that their affection levels plummet to -1, making romance with them impossible. It is a hidden element that players should avoid if they want to complete the game properly. However, since Alba does not want to raise his affection with the heroines, he wonders whether triggering this event might help him avoid his death flags. Later, he arrives at the hot spring alongside the other students. As he thinks about this possibility and hears the girls talking on the other side of the wall, he can vividly imagine their features. Though he feels extremely nervous, he tries to convince himself that he does not actually want a peek and is only considering it to avoid death flags. Just then, he is startled when Yuli calls out to him, asking whether everything is fine since he seems to be spacing out. As Alba nervously responds, Yuli asks what is with the look on his face. Alba replies that everything is fine and saying that the timing is perfect, he jumps into the hot spring, realizing that he cannot bring himself to do something so pathetic after all. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall in the women's area, Elena expresses how grateful she is to Alba for helping her with the wall-by situation. She then asks Celia whether she likes Alba, considering that she lives with him, and Celia nervously denies it. She explains that, like Elena, she is grateful to Alba for saving her, and adds that she finds him to be an amazing person whom she can respect. At that moment, Alice suddenly rises beside them and agrees, saying that Alba saved her as well. Since they have not met her before, Celia and Elena ask who she is, and Alice introduces herself as Alice from the Fenrir group, after which Elena and Celia introduce themselves in return. Moments later, Alice explains to them that Alba had saved her from the Chimera, hearing which Celia is not all that surprised and says that is simply what Alba does. Alice agrees, and since they are on the topic of the Chimera, she points out that after it was defeated, the other magic beasts disappeared. Upon learning this, Elena becomes even more certain that someone had been targeting the students with a false stampede. Celia finds the thought terrifying and wonders who could have done such a thing. She then notices Alice staring at her and asks about it, to which Alice responds by asking whether she is the Saintess. As Celia confirms it, Alice suddenly grabs a particular spot on Celia, causing her to let out a scream. Saying that she cannot take it anymore, Alice apologizes and gives the excuse that she is simply too happy to be able to touch the Saintess, while Celia tells her that she does not have to do that. Seeing this, Elena finds Celia hypocritical, as she had been doing the same thing to her just earlier. At that moment, hearing the scream, Alba uses his lightning power to leap quickly over the wall, giving him a full view of the girls' side of the hot spring. That, however, is not the only thing that happens, as the girls scream upon seeing him, with Celia calling him a pervert, while Alice, who is not wearing her glasses, tries to see clearly whether Alba is completely naked. Alba attempts to explain that he was only concerned after hearing the scream, but before he can say much, Elena throws a wooden bucket at him, which actually hits him. As Alba falls down, Yuli's remarks that although he understands rushing over after hearing a scream, it is still not acceptable to peek. More importantly, he adds that it is also not okay to use lightning near a hot spring, as aside from Yuli's, everyone passes out from the shock. Ignoring all of that, Alba wonders whether this situation counts as him succeeding in the peeking event. Later, Yuli's apologizes after learning that the commotion was Alice's fault and makes her apologize as well. She adds that the Saintess she admired so much was right in front of her, so she could not help herself. While Celia believes it is her own fault for screaming so loudly, Alba calls Alice a troublesome girl. Hearing this, Alice remarks that Alba is just jealous of the view she got, which he quickly denies. However, Elena and Celia have a hard time believing him and are very hostile toward him. Although he is glad their affection is going down, still leaves him feeling a bit hurt. Yuri then explains that the Saintess is actually special to them, to which Celia asks what he means. He explains that the village they grew up in has strong legends of a hero who protected the goddess of fate. Alice adds that they were taught the goddess's teachings from a young age, so the Saintess is a very important figure to them. With that said, Elena points out that Alice was still groping the chest of that very same important person, for which Alice apologizes once again. With that settled, Yuri introduces himself as Alice's childhood friend, and Celia and Elena introduce themselves as well. As Alba watches their interaction, it seems to him that the rightful protagonist, Yuri, has already begun taking back the plot. He watches them talk in silence, feeling something he cannot quite describe. He then starts walking away, reminding them that it is almost time for dinner, and agreeing with him, all of them decide to head there as well. Alba feels frustrated with himself for being so foolish as to feel jealous of Yuli's and reminds himself that he is the villain, not the protagonist. Later, they all have dinner arranged by the academy and find it very delicious. But just then Alba notices that someone is missing, so he asks Celia whether she has seen Mina, the first-year student. Celia asks if he is talking about the girl she met during the lunch break and replies that she has not seen her. However, Elena has a serious expression as she mentions that her father told her something just that morning, something she could hardly believe. Hearing this, Alba asks if she knows anything, to which Elena reveals that Mina's parents, the heads of the Lupica family, were murdered. Meanwhile, at the Lupica estate, it is oddly quiet, and the only sound that can be heard is Mina crying. She grieves for her dead parents, asking why this happened and wishing that someone would come and help her. Elena adds that she has heard the killer has not been caught yet. Learning all this, Alba wonders if this is somehow related to his death flags, since Mina is a side character in the game and should not be someone involved in the main scenario. Celia then expresses her wish that they could do something to help Mina, as death is too painful a burden to carry alone. Elena agrees with her, and Alba understands her words as well, since Celia is someone who has seen many deaths, so he too agrees. With this, he believes that his death flags have nothing to do with the incident, and as Mina's friend, as he promised her, he will do everything he can to help her. A few months later, as Alba is dozing off in class, the teacher throws chalk at him, reminding him that it is class time, and he apologizes. It has been a month since the field trip, and now it is June with his peaceful school life continuing. Like the real world, Criana fantasy has 12 months in a year, with seasons that reflect a Japanese lifestyle. The game covers 3 years of school life, during which the protagonist levels up through classes and has a wide variety of choices. One can choose a guild and become the adventurer king, do business in the city and become the financial king, seek legendary magic to become a great sage, or unravel ancient mysteries to become a hero. As all the main characters meet in the hallway, Alba also remembers that the player can romance the heroines as well. However, he has no intention of aiming for any of these paths, as he is destined to become the villain in every route. He believes that if he were to choose any of those paths, he would surely end up exactly as he does in the game. His thoughts are then interrupted by Yuli's, who suddenly appears behind him and startles him. As he is standing near a wall, Yuli's asks what he is doing in a place like that. But what surprises Alba even more is remembering that Yuli's is the protagonist who will eventually defeat the villain. Just then, Celia holds Yuli's arm and mentions to Alba that Yuli scored the highest in the practical test for the Holy Wolf group, which she finds amazing, while Yuli's insists it was just a fluke. Although the three of them seem to have grown very close to Yuli's, Alba appears a bit distant. He then walks away, saying that he is glad for Yuli's while admitting that he messed up, leaving everyone puzzled. Yuli's wonders if he made Alba feel bad, as if he were bragging, but Celia assures him that Alba always eats his bento alone. Alice, however, remarks that Alba might have gotten jealous because Celia praised Yuli's. Surprised by this, Celia watches Alba leave and wonders if he was really jealous. Elena, on the other hand, believes that if Alba truly was jealous, then it was childish, which Alice finds a bit harsh. Just then, Elena realizes something, and noticing this, Celia asks her what is wrong. Elena seems to have remembered something important, though she does not say it aloud. Meanwhile, Alba believes that the way he is currently living will prevent him from becoming the villain the original Alba was in the game. That is why he is doing his best to avoid interacting with the main characters as much as possible, just as he isolates himself in the mountains and spends his time alone. Just then, someone approaches him and asks whether he is taking another nap. As he opens his eyes and sits up, he sees that it is none other than Mina. It has been a while since they last met following the passing of her parents. She then asks if he wants to eat lunch together. Since she is a supporting character and someone unrelated to his death flags, he accepts. Because she is not connected to his death flags, he can speak with her freely and without reservation, which makes him very happy. After finishing their meal, he mentions that he heard about her parents passing and lets her know that he is there to support her. He reminds her of his promise, saying that he will help her just as he said he would. Hearing this, she thanks him from the bottom of her heart and is glad that she came to see him. With tears in her eyes and a happy smile, she says that she knew talking to him would surely lift her spirits. Just then, Celia arrives, and upon noticing Mina, the two of them greet each other. Celia expresses her happiness at finding Mina there and asks if she would like to invite her as well. When Mina asks about the invitation, Celia explains that it is a gathering at her house after school where she plans to throw a party. While Mina is confused, Alba is even more puzzled, wondering what the party is for. Later, when they enter the house, it turns out to be a party to celebrate Alba's birthday, as everyone pops confetti and wishes him a happy birthday. The surprise shocks him, as it resembles a birthday event that exists in the game, one that occurs based on the date entered when creating a game profile. Not only that, but a heroine with high favorability celebrates the player's birthday, and in his case, all 4 heroines are present. The date also matches his real birthday, and if he had not been reincarnated, he would have spent it alone. It turns out that Elena had remembered his birthday was on June 6th, which annoys Celia slightly, as it is the first time she has heard about it. Alice then asks whether he had been sulking back then because no one wished him a happy birthday. While Elena calls it childish, Alba is shocked as he had no idea. Ulises then apologizes for not bringing a present, explaining that he was unable to prepare one on such short notice. Elena tells him that it is fine, saying that she is simply grateful that they can all gather and celebrate Alba's birthday, while Celia believes it is Alba's own fault for not speaking up. Alice then remarks that Elena knew it was his birthday and yet is still acting tsundere about it, which makes Elena a bit embarrassed. Setting that aside, Mina introduces herself as Mina from the Holy Bird group and thanks everyone for letting her join. Alice and Ulises also introduce themselves, with Alice saying that it is more fun when everyone is together, a sentiment Mina agrees with as she thanks them. Elena then expresses her relief at seeing Mina doing well, and Mina thanks her in return. Elena adds that the Persia family stands on the side of the Lupica family, so Mina is free to rely on them whenever she needs, which Mina accepts with deep gratitude. Although they have already met, Celia introduces herself again and greets Mina, who thanks her once more. While everyone continues talking, Alba still tries to maintain his distance, as he plans to avoid getting involved with the main characters as much as possible. As he is lost in thought, Celia calls out to him and says that she has properly prepared something for him. What she presents is his birthday cake, although Alba still has not changed his mind. He believes that sometimes it is fine to forget about everything and simply immerse himself in the moment. Celia then walks toward him, telling him to make a wish while blowing out the candle. He accepts, closes his eyes, and wishes to live peacefully forever from now on. However, before he can even blow out the flame, Celia suddenly loses her balance and the cake is smashed straight into Alba's face. Everyone begins to laugh at the comedic scene while Celia, with teary eyes, apologizes and wipes the cream from Alba's face. Moments later, as it is already getting dark, Alice and Ulises set off to head back to their academy dorms, and Elena decides to go with them since her estate is along the way. After exchanging goodbyes, Mina informs them that she is heading in the opposite direction, and Alba says he will walk her home, as it is better to be careful after what happened to her parents. Seeing Alba and Mina interact, Celia believes that Alba is kind to everyone, so she feels there is nothing especially jealous about his behavior toward her. As they begin to walk away, Alba suddenly pauses and asks Celia to come with him, which confuses her. He then explains that he is not going to leave her alone at home since he is her bodyguard after all. Hearing this makes her very happy, and she tags along with them while letting out a strange laugh. Moments later, along the way, Alba asks Mina whether she is home alone, to which she replies that knights have been assigned to protect her. Hearing this, Alba expresses relief, while Celia tells Mina that she is free to visit them anytime if she likes. Alba agrees and adds that if Mina ever gets into trouble, she should let him know, and Celia agrees as well, saying she will cooperate too. Upon hearing this, Mina pauses and seems as if she wants to say something, but then she stops and says it is nothing, informing them that they have arrived at her estate before thanking them both. With that, they say goodbye to each other, and on the way back, Celia points out that Mina seemed like she wanted to say something. Alba sensed it too, but he believes that if anything were to happen, she would let him know since they are friends, and Celia agrees. With that settled, Alba asks if they should head straight home, to which Celia agrees but points out that it has gotten dark. Hearing this, Alba covers his body in lightning and tells her not to worry, and she is surprised by how bright it is. Alba then explains that it is not only bright but can also be used to sense suspicious presences, which he finds very handy. Just as he says this, he senses someone nearby and intensifies his lightning while demanding to know who is there. This confuses Celia, and she asks what is wrong, but Alba remains on guard. He explains that he felt like someone was watching them, though Celia points out that there is no one around. Even so, he continues to look around, wondering if whoever it was has already left. In reality, that person has not left at all and is watching them from afar, finding Alba to be a tricky one for being able to notice the colorless camouflage ability. The mysterious individual believes that if his sister Yuri were here, she would say that this was to be expected of a Criana Academy student. Even so, he thinks that Alba and the others are still just kids. As the person's face is revealed, he remarks that they will have to wait a little longer until the young lady's beast-generating magical power is ready. And when that time comes, it will be the moment for their god-killing to begin, telling the students to do their best to live out their youth until then.